We were just, me and my son were out on the trampoline. We were out there laying on it, looking up at the sky, and we started to see stuff. That's when I started videotaping. And it was like when I would focus in on them, my head just lit up. It was like someone smacked me in the back of the head.
Wow.
I felt dizzy, and it was like voices were trying to come in my head. And I was like seeing spots. And I just thought, didn't say anything out loud. I was like, that's really weird. So my son's out there with me. I'm like, right there, buddy. Look at that one. He's watching it. He's like, oh, yeah, I see it. He goes, man, Dad, my head hurts. He's like,
really?
I'm like seeing spots. And he's like, it just feels really weird. And I'm like, that's really weird.
In the paranormal war room, the legends arise. We're diving deep down where the truth never lies. Diving deep down where the truth never lies. Unravel the mysteries, let the stories unfold. This beat, these tales are daring and bold.
All right, welcome back to the Paranormal War Room. Tonight, I am joined by Mike from Northern Indiana UFO Watch. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing good, buddy. Just trying to stay warm
Awesome,
up here.
Yeah, I know you was telling me it was cold before we started recording, man. I didn't know you was I didn't know you was that north. You said you was right on the Michigan line, so you know that sucks. I bet it is cold up there.
Oh, man, the garage door was frozen shut, so it's like an ice skating rink out there.
That stinks, bro. I'm tropical, man. I'll take this warm weather down here we had today all day long. But, well, man, you know, you're the first guest I've had on here that, you know, has anything to do with UFOs. And I'm excited because I'm a big UFO guy myself, man. I really believe in that stuff. So I'm just curious, Mike, won't you just tell everybody about yourself and, you know, what you got going on, buddy?
Well, I'm up here, like I said, by the Michigan line. In between Elkhart and Goshen. It just, man, all people got to do is look up. That's all you got to do.
That's right. Yep.
Last year, it started March. I was going to work, and I could just see all these weird objects in the sky, kind of around Venus. The only way to describe it was, it reminded me of like tadpoles or like bugs in the water, how they just kind of scatter and swirl around every which way. And I tried to record it. And it was just, I couldn't zoom in far enough with my phone. But I saw him for like 3 days straight. I get to work at like 5 a.m. I grabbed one of the guys at work. I said, hey, come outside and look at the sky with me. I'm like, just tell me I'm not being crazy. I'm not seeing things that aren't up there. Just come outside and look. He's like, all right. So he goes out there with me. I'm like, right there. Look at that in the sky. And he goes, man, that's messed up. I'm like, you see them?
No doubt.
He's like, yeah, I see them. I'm like, okay, I was just making sure. And he's like, that's just weird. And I'm like, you know what we're going to do about it? Nothing. We're going to go inside. We're going to sit down. And 2 hours from now, you're going to forget we even did this. But It started in about March last year. I've always been a believer. It's kind of hard not.
I think that if you look up in the sky and you realize that we've discovered all these other planets and just the sheer size of the universe, I think you have to be kind of naive to really think that, you know, life just happened here. You know, I really think that you have to be kind of naive about that.
Exactly.
But is that the first experience you had that got you interested in UFOs and stuff like that? Is that the first thing that ever happened to you?
That was on like a daily basis. Yeah. I've seen weird things in the sky before. When I was like 21, we lived on 20 acres. We had one tree in the middle of the field. It used to be a cornfield. And we had a 2-acre pond out back. And then there was an electric fence on the other side with woods. So once you went past the pond, there was nowhere you could go. Pulled in with 2 friends at like midnight. Seen a light out back. Thought to myself, like everyone at that age, you know, oh my gosh, someone's trying to sneak fish in the pond. Hauled across the field in my car that I had. And this light went across the pond, through where the fence was, and just gone.
Wow.
And of course, we were like, we were young. We were like, oh, somebody with a dirt bike. And, you know, the older I got, I'm like, wait a minute. There was no noise. How did it go across the pond, through the electric fence, and just disappear?
So this was a light that it wasn't really in the sky. It was
it was like hovering.
Wow.
And it just kind of shot off. Um, I've had weird dreams throughout my whole life, which are repetitive of just running through fields, man. Something chasing you in the sky, running through fields. My most recent experiences in July of last year, those are the most compelling for me. Um, those were the videos I sent you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it's now. I wonder, do you live where you live at? Is that around any type of military base or anything like that?
There is a military base about an hour and a half south of here in Kokomo. That one's
Hmm.
supposedly shut down. Um, when I was younger, I had a delivery job and you could see the jets. They would do dogfights in the
Right.
air, chasing each other,
Yeah.
which was really cool. But you also have Ohio, and Ohio, isn't that right? Patterson Air Force Base on the east side?
I'm I'm not sure which one it is, but Ohio's a strange place. My wife's from Ohio, so I'm in Ohio at least once or twice a year. So yeah, there's a lot going on in that place.
And my wife showed me last night that more people from Ohio claim to have been abducted than any other state in the country.
I actually read the same thing
Did
today
you?
as I was trying to prepare for this. Yeah, and I thought that was fitting because, like I said, I'm in Ohio, semi frequently at least. But yeah, that's a different place. And if Wright Patterson is there, then that's going to explain a lot of that. And which I wonder if you said that base close to where you live is shut down, but I wonder if there isn't some stuff going on there that maybe we don't need to know about. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. It's been shut down for a long time, supposedly. They still have air shows and stuff. And I mean, you have the Great Lakes. Some of the
Hmm.
biggest UFO stories in the US history are based on the Great Lakes. I think it was in the early 90s, there was a really famous UFO incident where they chased it through the sky like 20 minutes north of me in between Michigan
Really?
and Indiana. Yeah, I'll have to find that one. It was on TV. I'll have to send you that link. And Lake
Oh,
Michigan, there are so many UFO cases out there.
I wonder if it's because, the lake, if it has to do with anything, just because it's over water, that size of a body of water and stuff like that. Because they get like the Tic Tac video and stuff like that. That's all over the ocean, and I don't know what that would have to do with it, unless maybe that there's theories that these things hide underwater, stuff like that. But
I believe it.
yeah, yeah,
And we also have a lot of
absolutely.
nuclear power plants in the area too.
Wow, yeah, that's starting to kind of seem kind of suspicious, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, did anybody in your are you do you know anybody that's ever had a UFO experience other than yourself?
Yeah. My son and my wife and my cousin in a separate incident. Those videos I sent you last year, or that happened last year in July, we were just,
Mhm.
me and my son were out on the trampoline. We were out there laying on it, looking up at the sky, and we started to see stuff. That's when I started videotaping. And it was like when I would focus in on them, my head just lit up. It was like someone smacked me in the back of the head. I
Wow.
felt dizzy, and it was like voices were trying to come in my head. And I was like seeing spots. And I just thought, didn't say anything out loud. I was like, that's really weird. So my son's out there with me. I'm like, right there, buddy. Look at that one.
Mhm.
He's watching it. And he's like, oh, yeah, I see it. And he goes, man, dad, my head hurts. He's like,
Really?
I'm like seeing spots. And he's like, it just feels really weird. And I'm like, that's really weird. So my wife was inside with our daughter. She was giving her a bath. Like 20 minutes later, I go inside and I did not say a word about what happened to us to her. I'm like, hey, come outside and look at this in the sky. I keep seeing them up here everywhere. She's like, okay. So she comes out a few minutes later. I'm like, right there. Do you see that one? And she's like, yeah, I do see it. Oh my gosh. She's like, it feels like I'm getting a migraine. She's
Wow.
like, my vision's blurred and there's like squiggly lines and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that just happened to both of us too.
That reminds me, our military just raided, I forget what country it is, but it's where they captured that guy and brought him back. And they were using some kind of directed energy weapons in
Yeah.
that raid, according to what they said. That's what you're describing sounds a lot like that.
Could be, but I also don't think that they have stuff that's capable of doing like a 90-degree U-turn in the sky all of a sudden either yet.
Absolutely. And if they do, they're not telling us about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I've had that, and ever since I saw those, I'll have just weird things happen in my head like that. It was like November last year. It was like 7 o'clock in the morning. I was at work and I got this overwhelming feeling. This is going to sound crazy that I needed to
No,
start.
no.
I literally started my Facebook group that morning. It was
Right.
screaming in my head that I had to make it right then and there, no matter what. I had to stop everything I was doing at work and I had to do it. That was my sole focus. It consumed everything I had. So that sounds a little crazy. And it was like a voice in my mind that was telling me that. It wasn't negative, it was positive. So I did that that whole day. The next day, same time, right around the same time, I get the same feeling in my head. I had to message my grandma. I do not text my grandma. We see each other at Christmas. We don't really call or text, but I had to
Right.
send her pictures of the kids right then and there. Had to stop what I'm doing. Had to do it. Sent them to her. Didn't get a response. My aunt calls me that night. Hey, grandma went to the urgent care this morning and she's in the ER with severe pneumonia. And I'm
No
like,
way.
well, that's weird. So I talked to my grandma the next day and she's like, yeah, I was getting in the car to go to urgent care and my phone just lit up with pictures from you. And she goes, honestly, I
Wow.
think that's what kept me alive on my drive to the hospital was seeing the kids because I was so surprised. And I'm
Wow.
like, well, that's weird.
Now, do you think that could that be something paranormal, or do you think that was UFO related?
I don't know because the day before it was the same feeling to make that group, man. It was get it out
Right.
there and give people a safe place to where they can share what's happened to them.
Right. So you think they were wanting you to do, like you said, create a safe place. That's what I always call this show. It's a safe place,
Yeah.
man. You know, we'll get on here and we'll discuss anything anybody wants to get off their chest, man. That's why I created this podcast.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that's kind of maybe that's why you got directed towards me because, trying to get that out there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool, man.
I had a woman message me in Mississippi. She's a year older than me. And literally everything that I've said that's happened to me has happened to her.
Really?
And same thing with the stuff in her head and everything. Um, and I've actually talked to another person before who had the exact same thing happen to them.
So have you ever, checked around on your body to see if there's been anything implanted in you or you got any scars you can't explain or anything like that?
Oh, buddy, I get so caught up doing stuff that I can't explain half the scars I have now.
No, I feel you on that.
No, I don't. I've looked. The only thing that I've had weird is just weird injuries. Like, I woke up one day when I was 18, both my knees felt like I couldn't put weight on them. I went to the doctor. They said I have like no meniscus in each kneecap, that it wore away, and I've just kind of got to deal with it.
So you've been having these experiences for a while then.
Yeah.
So this isn't something that just started happening last year or anything like that.
No, just the more serious ones have.
Right.
Stuff like that. I mean, my back's messed up. Hers in Mississippi's messed up. The other woman's back was messed up with spine stuff. And it's just unexplainable things that happen to you for no reason.
Well, let me ask you a direct question, okay? And you can answer it if you want to answer it. Do you feel like you've been abducted? And if so, do you think maybe the reason you don't have any meniscus in your knees or you got back problems, do you think that's because of stuff they've been doing to you?
I do think so. When I was little, I get
Explain
flashbacks
that.
to stuff like that, but it's not like vivid. Um, One thing, the one that I've recently been talking to that she said was, she goes, you can answer this if you want. She goes, so how bad was your childhood trauma?
And this is the lady that you met that lives in another
she
state,
messaged my
right?
group and she's been sharing videos. But she goes,
Okay.
so how bad was your childhood trauma? And I'm like, pretty rough. And she's like,
Really?
mine too. She's like, do you think that they talk to us and communicate with us because they know that we can handle it and we're not just going to run away?
Wow, that's interesting.
I know.
So would you tell her? Would how the conversation go?
Yeah. I mean, I had it. And I agreed with her because it's like those that have had those sort of experiences, what else are you going to do that's going to sound crazy to us or make us scream and run away? Not a whole lot, you know?
Right. You know, I've always had a theory that if they are abducting people, and if you got to think about it, if we were this advanced civilization and we had the capability to travel to other, planets and stuff like that, what we would do is exactly what I believe they are doing is, we would experiment, to be honest with you,
What do we do currently? I mean, We do
Yeah,
that
with
to
animals and
animals every
everything.
day.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. I'll have to use that line in the future. That's a very good way of putting it. So, if we are being visited and stuff like that, and like I said, man, I really think we are. Of course, they're going to experiment on us. I really believe that.
What is the difference between people that have, let's call them holy experiences, and they see the light, they hear the voices, they have this,
Mhm.
everything else? That's the exact same thing as somebody being abducted. You just changed the word from whatever religion to aliens. One is sane and people are happy for them, and the other one, you're crazy. There's not a whole lot of difference.
Right, right, right. So I'm very interested about your childhood, man. Do you care to go into any more of that? Because I'd like to. When did all this start? What's the first time that you noticed something happening? How old were you?
I would say the 4 or 5 range.
Really?
It was just,
And it's
yeah,
just start out with dreams, or
dreams,
you start
waking up in weird places. You wake up outside. I mean, that's pretty weird.
has that happened to you?
Yeah, and you're
That
told that
is
you were
weird.
sleepwalking.
Right.
I remember because we always had a lot of land growing up, being like out in the back of the field, and you just kind of blank and come to it, and it's 20, 30 minutes later, stuff like that. Like, do I know for sure that I ever was? No, I don't. I'd love to do reverse hypnosis one day. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask if you ever thought about doing something like that.
I have. I've looked into it. Um, but it's just weird experiences like that. Or you think back to like seeing weird things when you were a kid, and as you grow up, you're like, that's not right. you know?
Right, right.
My cousin saw them in California too. Did I send you those pictures?
I don't think you did. I seen you sent me the videos of the sky, but I don't think you sent me anything else.
I'll have to send you his. His were in the dunes out there.
No, you didn't send me those. Tell us about that.
So he told me about it this year. It happened to him in 2015. They
Now,
were,
all this is it sounds to me like there's a connection to your family, because it seems like everybody in your family's having experiences. So
yeah.
this has got me curious here. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. They were riding dirt bikes out there. He said this light just appeared. He's like, it wasn't up in the sky. It was above the ground a little bit. He's like, it was deadly silent. And he's like, it wasn't just me. He's like, it's the whole group I with and everybody that was riding out there in the desert at night. He's like, all you heard was, what the F is that? He's in the military
Right.
forever too. And he was an airplane diesel mechanic. He's like, that was not us. He's like, it lasted about 15 minutes. He's like, I've got a video of it. It's just got to pop up in my memories on Facebook 'cause it was 10 years ago. He's like, I'll shoot it over to you. He's like, it even made the news. He's like, but it was just like scanning the dunes. And he's like, then it just shot off.
Wow.
But
That's interesting, man.
his is you can really make out the outline of it.
And did he tell you what it looked like, or?
A triangular light that made no
Wow.
noise whatsoever. You can see the shape of it. I'll send it to you as soon as this is over with, man. His
Right,
pictures
right. Yeah, I
are
did.
nuts. And you can see like it almost looks like a bluish laser coming out of the tip of it.
Really?
He said it made the news out there. He's like, but the videos and pictures he had, he's like, they weren't there. He's like, we were like maybe 100, 150 yards away from it, man.
Wow. And and this was close to a military base as well, right?
Yep.
Okay. Now, do you lean more towards maybe this is, us backwards engineering stuff, or do you maybe think it's extraterrestrials keeping an eye on our military bases? Where do you lean?
I think they're keeping an eye on the military bases. He's like, I've
Mhm.
seen stuff that the public have never seen. He's like, what I saw, he's like, that was the day that I went, yeah, we're not alone anymore, man.
Oh, yeah. That's
Um,
crazy.
It's just, and he's just like me. We're realistic to what the world is, We live in a smoke
Yeah.
and mirror society. We're going to put this on TV. Everybody look here, but don't look over there at those 5 other things.
Exactly.
And
Exactly. That's the way
definitely don't look at the 10 things behind it.
Yeah, that's the way our government works. What do you think about the recent, disclosure meetings and stuff we've had?
It's a work in progress, but that's kind of just what they want us to hear.
I think they're just giving us enough to make us curious myself.
Yeah. I mean, what's anybody going to do about it? I mean, everybody's supposed to report to MUFON. And what do they ever disclose? Is there ever anything on the news from them?
No,
Nothing. Never.
no.
Um, I mean, there's so many reports of them being in oceans and everything else, and we're told that they're in the skies. They're from outer space. We track 3-eye atlas for how long, and we don't track all the stuff in the skies.
I'm sure Uncle Sam knows a lot more than what they're telling us. There's just been too much evidence since 1947, at least, with the Roswell incident.
I
Uh,
think they're interdimensional, honestly.
that's definitely a possibility. There's no telling how they transverse the universe, man.
No,
There's a lot we don't understand.
but my big thing is a lot of people say what people see in the skies, oh, that's satellites. And I got annoyed with that like a month ago. And I'm like, how big is a freaking satellite in the sky? If it is in
Yeah,
outer space, how big is that satellite compared to like a plane? Our biggest one is like 100 feet bigger. The International Space Station is like 100 feet bigger than a commercial jet, like a Boeing 747. So you're telling me that is just miles above where those planes are, and they're the same size, and that's what we see in the sky.
yeah, and those same satellites are making 90-degree turns and, dropping 80,000 feet in a second and stuff like that. Yeah, I highly doubt that.
And they also have the world's brightest LED lights on them, not halogen.
Yeah. So I guess it's all the communication you've had over the years. What do you think they're trying to tell you, man? When's the last experience you had with that? Because that fascinates me that you're actually communicating. I didn't realize that, as we had been talking about that, about doing this show together.
Every
But,
week.
yeah, really? What's the type of stuff they're saying to you and stuff like that?
It's not like a clear message or anything like that.
And if there's anything you don't want to tell, trust me, I can cut all that out.
Oh,
So
buddy,
if
I'm
there's
an
something you
open
don't
book.
want to talk about, but that really, really fascinates me, the fact that you're communicating with them. So I'm just wondering what their message is they're trying to get to you.
I think it's a kind of a take the lead and be open to what the world really is.
Right.
Because, like I said, we live in a smoke and mirror society. Everything's covered up, man. But yeah, we advance with technology, but we ourselves as people just are so dumb. So dumb
Yeah.
anymore. We close our eyes to everything unless it's literally right in front of you. And even if it is in front of you, people go, that's not real. That's not real. But
Right.
we will believe in some of the dumbest stuff. And just to protect this planet, man, we're doing the opposite of that anymore. And nobody cares. Nobody stands up for anything. I drove home today and there were kids protesting. You don't see parents out there, but you got middle school and high school kids protesting. Like,
Yeah. When it comes to stuff like that, you've got this younger generation that thinks that that's how they're going to make a difference. When in reality, I don't really think protesting, all you're doing is starting trouble with stuff like that. That's a whole nother topic.
oh,
But
yeah.
yeah, this world's definitely leading into a bad times. I'll put it like that, because too many people are used to getting on these computers and speaking their mind, and you're not going to get your mouth busted through one of these computer screens.
Yeah.
Back like when I was growing up, I came in on the verge, right? I had the best. I had the, time before technology. Then I got the, experience technology as it happened. But back in the day, if you wanted to run your mouth, you had to do it in person. And, the whole chance of you getting smacked in the mouth made you pick your words wisely. But too many people are sitting behind these computer screens getting comfortable, we'll put it that way. And I think that's a lot of the problems we have with society.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why I did my group is because, every city and town anymore has a nosy neighbor's site on Facebook. Everybody's got them.
Absolutely.
You
Yep.
got your,
Nosy neighbor. I like that. I like to use that one.
yeah, it is Karens that think they're going to make a difference in life. And there
Yeah.
were people posting good videos of clearly UFOs in the sky, and they just got destroyed and ridiculed and shamed. And I'm like, that poor person's never going to post anything ever again because they're just going to get destroyed.
Yeah. Well, that's why it's important that, we do stuff like what we're doing right now. It's important that you have stuff like your Facebook group you created. And it's important that I have stuff like my
It
podcast,
is.
which, I would suggest maybe you think about starting a podcast as well, because you can reach out and have people on, give them that safe space to talk about stuff that they are really afraid to talk about maybe anywhere else. So that's why I think doing the stuff like we're doing right now is important, because people do need a safe space to talk about the stuff that probably, doesn't fit in with a normal conversation. We'll put it that way. But at
And
the same time,
yeah,
it's stuff we need to talk about.
and we are planning on doing one soon. It's just I had a discussion with someone the other day, and I was like, yeah, it's like the seven voices that are in your head that are constantly arguing and fighting back and forth. And they were like, yeah, I have that too. And they're like, but nobody talks about that. Nobody talks
Did you
about,
say 7 voices?
you know what I mean? How everybody's got,
Yeah.
but if you say that out loud, you're deemed crazy. There's so many things that's brought on by society that's pushed through radio and movies, especially. My best example is King of the Hill. Everybody watch King of the
Right.
Hill, right? Dale
Right.
Gribble,
Right.
guy's a nutcase. Conspiracy theorist, you laugh at him, you mock him. But that teaches you that that's what you're supposed to do to people in real life.
Yeah, we definitely get a lot of subliminal message in our entertainment. I'll say that. I think our government and Hollywood work together hand in hand a lot when it comes to stuff like that. So you got to be careful what you're watching.
They do.
And a lot of times I think they use movies and stuff like that to kind of, if they're going to push disclosure, and I think it's inevitable, it's going to happen. It's going to have to. I mean, there's just too many people curious about this subject now, but a lot of times they use movies and stuff to kind of soften the blow, get us used to stuff like that a little bit.
I mean, they're
But
literally
yeah,
releasing the movie called Disclosure this summer.
yeah. See, that's what I'm talking about. They're just getting us warmed up. But so why do you think if ETs are buzzing around here, why do you think they hang out over our nuclear sites and our military bases? What do you think they're watching for?
I think they're trying to make sure that we don't destroy the world. I don't personally.
There has been incidents of them shutting down our nuclear weapons before, and I'll say this. A lot of people say the extraterrestrials don't exist because they would have already taken over the world, and I don't really buy into that, because I feel like if you've been around long enough to be this advanced society, advanced enough to be able to transverse the universe, I don't think war and conquering is really your thing anymore. I think you're being more of a scientific society, and you want to learn and help other civilizations get to a point where they can get to. And I think a lot of the extraterrestrials and the spaceships that we have supposedly found on Earth, I think they've been plants, kind of help us get started with technology and stuff like that. Because we went from not being able to even fly, I forget what the year is the Wright brothers done flight, but you went from there, and then we were going to the moon in like 1967. It's less than 100 years.
Yeah.
There's no way technology jumped that far in that amount of time. You know what I'm saying?
No, I completely agree with you, especially with AI now too. I mean,
Exactly.
look at how far we've gone, not in 100 years, but man, 5-10 years.
With AI, it's scary. It really is. AI has become leaps and bounds in the last 2 years,
Yeah.
let alone what it's going to be like in the next 15. You know what I'm saying?
But I think they're in the oceans, or we haven't been allowed to go to the Arctic as explorers since World War II.
The Antarctic Treaty, every country signed and agreed that nobody's going to go up there. All that's shady, man.
So many explorers there, and one of Germany's main conquest was to establish a base there. We took it over after the war, and now nobody's allowed to go there unless you're a scientist. But why is that?
Yeah, there's places in the in Antarctica we can go to, but there's the most of it you're not allowed. There's places in the Grand Canyon where we're not allowed to go to, and I can't explain that either.
Yeah, most of it.
I definitely believe in this stuff because, like I said, you'd have to be kind of naive to think, with the universe as massive as it is, that life only happened here. I think that's just a naive thought, if that's your take on it. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. I mean, look at all the ancient gods. A lot of those were from outer space, supposedly, but
Yep.
history is rewritten by those that conquer, man.
Absolutely.
It's rewritten in their image. If they don't want it in there, they just erase it and put in how they want.
That's like with the burning of the Library of Alexandria. Could you imagine the knowledge that was lost when they burnt that library down? There's just no telling the knowledge that was lost. I think that's one of the biggest tragedies in human history
I
is the burning of the Library of Alexandria.
I agree.
But
And wherever was conquered, man, all their books were typically destroyed because
yeah,
it's
because
you're
they
gonna
you
believe
wanted
in
to
what we
erase them.
want, or we're gonna kill your family.
Yeah, well, hey, that's how people lived back in those days, man. It was a brutal time to grow up in.
Yeah.
But even with when Christopher Columbus was coming over here, he had journal entries of glowing lights, flying through the air and underwater and stuff like that. So I think these things have been here for the hundreds, maybe hundreds of thousands of years, man. I think we've been visited, and I keep going back to you telling me that you feel like they're talking to you. That just fascinates me, man. That really does.
It is.
Absolutely fascinates me.
It's one of those things that like you just feel it in your head is the best way to
Right.
describe it. Especially when you're watching them. Yeah, and it's not just me. Like I'm part of a lot of groups on Facebook just trying to learn like how to control that because it gets to the point where
Right.
it's overwhelming, kind of like a
Really?
panic attack.
Really?
Yeah.
Does your son or your wife ever say they hear anything like that?
She's had some weird stuff happen lately. Not really him. It's just she's had a lot of ringing in her head lately, and I've had it for about 5 months, and it's just like,
Did all this happen right after you guys had that experience on the trampoline that night? Is that when all this started happening?
yeah, for me, yeah,
Wow.
it's just a constant ringing, and sometimes it's like if you don't pay attention to it, it'll do the really high pitched ringing. I know they
Really?
call that tendonitis or something like that, but that
Yeah,
just
something like that.
everything's got a name and an excuse.
Right.
Yeah, it gets intense though.
That fascinates me, man. Well, is there any other thing you'd like to get off your chest, man? Like I said, it's open floor for you here, buddy.
No, just anybody that wants to share, join Northern Indiana. Um, Northern Indiana UFO Watch. We're going to be doing live streams when it gets warmer out. Um, I feel like I can go outside in 2 minutes and typically see something. So we're going to be doing a lot of those on the weekend. We want to start up a podcast. I'm going to end up changing the name of it eventually to include everybody. I just did it to try and get some attention.
Right.
But don't be afraid to share. You're not crazy just because you see things that other people don't see or hear or weird things that happen to you. I've had so many people just randomly message some of their stories, and your typical person would be like, that person's a nutcase, block. And you're
Yeah.
not. You're just deemed that way because that's the biggest way to keep information from getting out is to make sure that the people that have the information are deemed unreliable or mental. And
Yeah, they do the same thing with college professors or scientists, anybody that goes against the norm, they discredit them and stuff like that. So that's just the narrative of the naysayers out there. And what I'd like to tell everybody, you just can't worry about that. If you've had an experience, I I like to put it like this. With the thousands of experiences and encounters that people have had with the UFO phenomena, not everybody's lying. I'm sure there's a few people out there that are lying that try to get attention because that's just how people are. People are scumbags. But the fact of the matter is, not everybody is lying. So this has to give credence to this whole phenomena, in my opinion.
but in today's world, you have to have 20 different cameras going to record your proof. And
Right.
even then, that's going to be dissected to the point that you're still lying. But yet, we're supposed to believe whatever's told to us or what was written down in books from forever ago. That's 100% fact with zero proof, zero evidence. But if we see something, we've got to have 20 cameras, 100 different people, and it's just insane. It's so stupid.
Yeah. Well, it definitely people need a safe space to go and talk about stuff and get stuff off their chest. And I appreciate you doing that for people, man.
It is.
And
And just to the people out there, like, I know what I say, it sounds crazy. It happens to more people, but it's, the 0.05% of us that are willing to speak about it, that have to be the voice for the voiceless that come forward. Like, we're here, share your stories. You don't have to hide. It happens. Weird things happen. Not everything can be
every day.
explained.
Yep, every day weird things happen. I like that, man. Weird things happen. Not everything can be explained. I like that.
Nope.
We need to put that on a T-shirt.
Oh, I got some good ones, man. But that's just what we're about. I'm not the best with technology, so I'm getting there with the podcast and Facebook, and I just got TikTok recently. So just sign up, share your stories. It doesn't matter where you're from, who you are, what religion, race, sex, whatever. Who cares? Share your story.
Exactly. And I'll say this, if you need any help getting a podcast set up, let me know. I can definitely help you there.
Yeah.
But tell everybody where they can find you real quick. If they want to talk to you and get their story out through you, just let everybody know where they can find you.
It is on Facebook, Northern Indiana UFO Watch, and TikTok and YouTube. I went real original, and it's the same name, just Northern Indiana UFO Watch. And I have a Twitter that's that, but my God, that is just a different world, and I am learning.
Right, yeah.
But I have
No doubt about
videos on
that.
there. I've got other people that have shared videos. It doesn't matter if you get satellites or if it's a plane, at least you tried. You
Exactly.
got cool videos, cool, share them. If it ends up being the International Space Station, good job. You tried, but
Yep.
share. Bigfoot, sure, share it. I love Bigfoot. Ghost shadow people, I see them too. Share it.
Yep.
But
There's definitely a paranormal world out there. I can tell you that much. I talk to people 2 or 3 times a week, and there's definitely, the spectrum is full. Let's put it that way.
the more people that come forward and share, the less crazy it is.
Exactly. We need to normalize it. Yeah.
And
Having conversations need to be normalized.
don't ridicule or shame those people that have seen stuff because they didn't ask for it. Just let them share their stories. But that's all we're about, man. I just had enough one day, and something told me to do it, and that's what I'm doing.
Well, I appreciate you doing it, man. People need a good spot to go and be able to get stuff off their chest without having to worry about being ridiculed and made fun of and stuff like that. So my hat's off to you, Mike. I appreciate you doing that. You got anything else you want to add before we cut out of here, buddy?
No, I'm good for tonight. Let it warm up a little bit, and I guarantee you I will have enough videos to just blow up Facebook. So that's my plan for the summer. So that's what we're doing, man. I've had enough.
All right.
Let's expose the world.
All right, man. That sounds like a plan, and I will post a link to all your stuff in the show notes of this podcast. I appreciate you coming on and telling us about what you've had going on, man. It's been a fascinating conversation, and if anything else happens, bro, touch base with me, man. Let's get back on here and talk about it a little more. All right?
Oh, most definitely, and I'll shoot you those pictures as soon as we're off here, man. Thank you for doing what you do.
Hey, man, thank you. Talk to you later, buddy.
Later.
See you, bye.
Bye.
The unknown awakens, hear the echoes grow loud. We're diving deep, join the curious crowd. In the paranormal war room, we take flight, bringing the spooky vibes, shadows and light. With every beat, the legends we explore, unleashing the spirits. We're ready for more. Aliens striking down like thunder from the skies. Cryptids lurking near, in the darkness they rise. Paranormal tales that will twist your mind. Tune into the mystery, leave the norm behind. In the war room we fight with the strange insight, unveiling subscribe. Don't be left in the dark. Join us in the war, let's make our mark.